Snow fell in wide, soft sheets over the expanse of Ethan's ranch, drifting in languid spirals, catching the pale light of a waning sun, painting the land in muted silver. The wind whispered through the bare pines, carrying the scent of cold timber and distant smoke, curling around the ridges with a lonely sort of patience. Ethan rode slowly along the crest of the hill, 34 years etched in the lines of his face, his coat heavy with frost, hands steady on the reins. His eyes, sharp yet quietly restless, swept the horizon as if searching for something the world had kept hidden from him all his life. The ranch lay beneath him, vast and white, the kind of solitude that could either harden a man or strip him bare to his true self. Below, in the snow-spun light of late afternoon, two women were building a small hut, their movements deliberate and careful. Ava, 24, knelt on one side, her ochre dress dusted with powdery snow, hair loose and dark around her shoulders. Her hands worked with impatient precision, each plank lifted with a mix of frustration and determination. Emma, 25, wore a soft pink shawl that hugged her shoulders, her red hair glinting like embers against the pale cold, eyes fixed on the frame of the hut as if she were stitching herself into a new life with every swing of her hammer. Ethan watched quietly from the edge of the clearing, not as an intruder, but as a witness to a moment of rare courage and resilience. The wind rose sharp and biting, carrying snow into their faces, and Ethan instinctively stepped closer, the leather of his boots crunching against frozen ground. Ava squinted up at him, a spark of teasing fire in her gaze, while Emma's eyes met his with a calm steadiness that made the world seem smaller, more intimate, reduced to three people in a snow-draped theater. He offered a hand to help with a heavy beam, and she accepted, their fingers brushing, a flash of warmth against the cold. Silence fell between them, broken only by the occasional sigh of wood and the distant howl of wind. In that silence, something unspoken passed, a subtle recognition of shared endurance, of mutual respect, and the quiet stirrings of hearts that had grown cautious, yet still longed to feel. A passing wagon rumbled along the frozen trail, driven by an old man with hands gnarled like the roots of the pines. He tipped his hat at Ethan, muttering a tale of snowstorms and love found in the quietest of places, and moved on, leaving a faint trail of smoke and old stories curling behind him. Ethan's eyes lingered on the retreating figure, thinking how life often offered beauty and connection in moments one least expected. Ava's laughter rang out, soft and playful, when a plank slipped from her grasp, and Emma steadied her, whispering encouragement that was almost lost in the hiss of the wind. The two women, though strangers in name, seemed to share an unspoken bond, a quiet solidarity that grew stronger with each measured movement. By mid-afternoon, the hut began to take shape, each plank falling into place with careful precision, walls trembling yet holding firm against the relentless winter. Ethan marveled at their work, at the way strength and patience intertwined in subtle gestures, the tilt of a head, the press of a palm, the brief glance exchanged when the cold wind toppled a beam. He saw in Emma a steadfastness that drew him in, a quiet courage that did not boast or demand, only endured and persisted, like the land itself. Ava's fire was evident, but it was Emma's serenity, her ability to anchor the chaos, that left a mark on him deeper than he had anticipated. The sun, low and frail behind heavy clouds, sent long shadows across the snow, painting the clearing in amber and violet. Ava straightened, brushing snow from her hair with a flourish, laughing softly at her own clumsiness. Emma adjusted a plank, her lips pressing together to hold back a small, contented sigh. Ethan approached, careful as though each step might shatter the fragile calm of the moment. He spoke first to Ava with polite words, but she waved him off, her smile teasing and warm, returning her attention to the hut. Then he turned to Emma, whose eyes, calm and steady, held his with unspoken invitation, and the wind seemed to pause, giving space for hearts to speak where words had been hesitant. He spoke slowly, letting each word carry its weight, confessing how he had watched her, how her strength and determination had reached across the distance between them and stirred something he had not expected, that he respected her, admired her, and had grown to care in ways that neither time nor circumstance could undo. Emma listened, her gaze unwavering, lips slightly parted, a trembling warmth rising in her chest as if the cold itself had softened. She did not interrupt, did not rush him, and the patience in her stillness made the confession feel sacred, intimate, almost like a prayer. Snow shifted around them as if the earth itself were leaning in, and Ethan, finally allowing the truth of his feelings to spill from a heart long guarded, whispered that he wanted her in the days to come, not as a fleeting companion, but as the one who could share the quiet moments, the storms, and the long, cold nights by the hearth. Emma's chest rose and fell, breath-catching, tears forming at the edges of her eyes, not from sorrow, but from recognition, from relief, from a joy that had waited too long to bloom. She reached out, taking his hand with gentle firmness, and in that simple act, the world seemed to settle, every snowflake around them holding its place in silent witness to what had quietly become certain. The hut stood finished, a small testament to labor, resilience, and shared purpose. Ethan drew her close, resting his forehead against hers, feeling the warmth of life return from a cold, the quiet exultation of a heart answered. Ava looked on from a distance, her smile soft and knowing, understanding that some bonds, fragile and unheralded, had only needed patience, kindness, and courage to endure. The final light of the sun gilded the snow in amber and rose, illuminating the hush of their embrace, the snow settling like gentle applause around them. Ethan whispered once more, words barely more than breath, that she had become his home, the warmth he had long sought in the endless expanse of prairie and solitude. Emma pressed her forehead to his, trembling, eyes bright with tears and recognition, and in that silent communion, the snow around them seemed to glow, reflecting the first true light of a love quietly, irrevocably begun. For those who watch from wherever they may be, remember that love often comes not in grand gestures, but in steady eyes, gentle hands, and the courage to speak the heart's truth. It asks for patience, and it rewards with depth, warmth, and the quiet joy of being seen. Like, comment, subscribe, and share where you are watching from, carrying with you the simple power of kindness and the hope of hearts finally meeting.